All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Let's play the game. What's in my tooth? I don't know. Okay. Let's go. We're going to start a stage for today. 265. Boom. Boom. Stage is on. Discord. If you guys are on Discord, come join. How do I share this one? Okay. Let me just text. How are you guys doing today? Good to see everyone. Van Dweller and Guru and Chris and Yoni, all the good people. Blue Rooster, how are you guys doing today? Thank you so much, Guru, putting all the links. As always, very appreciated. Let's put again totalreality.com website. Or what's up, Val? Oh, by the way, Val, I got your. This is the problem with communicating through Instagram because even when I saw your text, and then even when I see it, it then kind of gets forgotten because there's like so much going on. So I appreciate you. Yes, I will send you an address. That is so nice of you. Yeah. Let me. I don't know what to ship because I don't know what I'm going to be. So let me. I'll text you an address, and then I really appreciate it. The best way to get a hold of me, guys, just so you know, in case it's dengoprox@gmail.com. Usually, if don't write trip reports there because I'm definitely not going to read it there. But if it's things like this, like, hey, somebody who's like regular to the community, someone who's an integral part of this, and you just have some thoughts or you want an immediate answer for something that is important, or you're saying you want to send something, that will be the address. Social media is the worst place to send me messages because I simply never check it. And even when I do, it just like happened, I just saw your name and I was like, oh my God, I never responded to your message. There's just too much going on social media. It's too ADHD prone. So please email me, but you don't need to email me. I'll remember to send you an address, but just so you guys know. How are you, Rudy? Jen. Welcome, everyone. What's up, Chris? How are you, brother? And let's put this here too. Woohoo! What's up, Carol? If you guys want to follow us on Twitch, it will be LaserX83 on Twitch. Come help us with that. Wendy is in the house. I'm going to bring Wendy up. Now you can get... There you go. Wait. There we go. Wendy is in the house. Oh, you gotta...
Hey.
You gotta mute YouTube. Go to the slider.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? You can't hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. But can you only hear me on YouTube? You can't hear me here?
Okay, hold on. Am I on? I'm on and muting YouTube, I think.
Yeah, mute YouTube. Just
Yeah.
like slide the
Only on YouTube.
Slider, yeah.
Okay, hold on. Am I on and muting YouTube?
I do not remember the chords, no.
Yeah. On YouTube.
Yeah, are you having some technical difficulties, Ebony? When do you need some help? What is that? Well, in any case, we'll proceed in the meanwhile until we figure it out. Yoni, how are you? Anybody who is in the chat and wants to come on and talk, please come by. No problem. Also, there's the... Let me see if I can bring up the chat here. There you go. Perfect. Wendy, can you hear me? On Discord, can you hear me, or you can only hear me on YouTube? Okay, it gave us this mistake before. Can you hear me now? Not sure what's going on. Okay, hold on. Let me try it also with Yoni. Yoni, I'm gonna bring you up just to see if it's on Wendy's side or if it's on our side. So I want to see if you can hear me. I'm gonna invite you to speak real quick. What's up, Jackie? What's up, Donnie? Good to see you guys. Schoolman is in the house. Okay. Jen saying different time than usual. Yes. Trying to do a little earlier, especially on Fridays before the weekend, you know? Oh, hey, Dr. Luke. Again, anybody who wants to come on and chat on Discord, please come and do so. Especially now, we Benjamin, is that cool if I bring you on for a second? I just want to see if we have an issue.
I figured it out. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I had to go into the audio settings.
Aha, there we go. Yeah, the audio settings in each one of the softwares might be different. There you go, perfect. What's up, Benjamin? Well, how are you, Wendy?
I am awesome.
Well, I'm glad to
really, truly, yeah. I've had so much fun since our YouTube live. It was great.
Awesome. How's your Friday going so far?
Busy, actually. I've got a longer list than I would like, truly.
Yeah, today was kind of super busy for me as well, which is I was hoping that Friday is going to be less busy, but this Friday was just crazy. Absolutely.
Same thing.
Hold on. I'm just going to send him this message. We're almost there. And we should be done, I believe. The amount of things that required my attention today was staggering. I thought I was just gonna have one of these like relaxing days. I guess it's something in the Matrix. I felt like I'm can't speak. I got to be quiet. Sorry, setting up a room. Oh, no worries at all. Yeah, I just want to test the audio, but now we resolved it. So now we're absolutely golden. We don't need to worry about a thing. By the way, just so you know, one second. One last thing.
Can you guys hear me in there?
Yeah, I'm here. I just want to do it. There's just a lot of wonderful, beautiful turmoil before the baby's here. So we have a lot of things to kind of finalize and take care of. Even though most things are done, but it's there's always like another thing, another surprise. One thing I wanted to say to you is that you don't have to, but I would try and do at least one live a week, just so it's just because it's like a consistency thing, and then it kind of builds up crowd and audience. People are gonna get used to waiting for you to come on. What's up, Jessica? Good to see you.
Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm so glad you said that because I got some really, really cool information around habits and consistency and the difference. Like just yesterday, actually.
Okay. Do you want to share?
Yeah, of course. So the difference between a habit and consistency is a habit is something that's running unconscious, right? That we recognize later. And consistency is something that we are conscious of, that we're doing something to achieve consistency. So we're like, okay, we're going to be consistent. We're going to choose it consciously. But a habit is something that runs in the background. And then the other piece of that is your life as you live it is a habit, all of it, until you recognize it and realize what you're going to lean into to create consistency with, and what's a habit that you're no longer appreciating. Does that make sense? Those
Yeah.
two different aspects.
Yeah. Well, that's beautifully put. I do agree with that. I do think that there's room for basically. I think of habits more like automated consistency, and I do think that certain things we do want to kind of punch into the more automated part of the brain, just because they're not. You can say, "Look, I choose to work out every day." Sure, but then if you have to constantly pull yourself by your bootstraps, and it's not something, sometimes you don't feel like doing it. So you can say, well, today I'm not going to choose to do it. Or you're going to put it in the automated system where even if you don't want to, it just kind of happens. And that has room, I believe. But I do think that with anything that has to do with meaning, we definitely want to focus more on the things that we choose versus the thing that is just kind of running as an automated program. I think that's actually it's a very valuable insight. How did it come to you? It just like all insights.
I was channeling some stuff yesterday for myself. I say channeling. I was pulling through my. I went into the tub where all great things happen, and I was going in to source some clarity for myself. And what I mean by that is I go in to have a bubble bath, and the intentionality is to leave the ego outside and go in and just experience true clarity, like a stream of clarity from your soul's essence. And when you're intentional about what you're seeking clarity for, you're going to get the answers for it, whatever it is in this current moment. So I was going in just to source clarity for myself, because a lot of huge things are happening, right? And I'm sure you're in that space too, where your nervous system is going, what the F is happening? Right? Because your body's trying to catch up with the speed of the energy of you. And so your nervous system is, just gets to respond. And for me, I'm not used to that. Usually I'm right alongside it, but there's been so many awesome things happening that my nervous system was felt like it was in high vibrate. And it felt like I should be running the block over and over and over again, just for fun, because there was so much energy movement. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to source clarity in order to create a calibration for myself with everything. So we're all like online together. And so I went in, and what happens normally, and I'm used to it now, is I always hit record, because that allows me to not have to think about anything or trying to remember anything. I just openly record it all. And of course, what happens is this really cool thread. It's almost like I tugged on a thread of something that brought through habit versus consistency. And a whole bunch of stuff came through about it. I was like, wow, this shit's so good. And so while I lean into that, I was just able to utilize it to see some different perspectives and reality. But I also pulled through what that feels like in the body. And then it gave me access to the creation point, like a 0 point of creation where, there was another thing too. It's funny, while I start telling you all this other stuff comes back. And the fear of the dark, like for some reason, a fear of the dark came in, and why, most people fear the dark. And I'm thinking, that's really strange. Why is that in my head? Because I don't have a lot of fears, quite honestly. And what I realized is that there are so many people that are afraid of the dark, like in so many capacities. So maybe they're afraid of the dark at home, like the literal dark in their room, or they're told to not walk down, right, empty dark alleys. But I mean, that makes sense, right, for safety. But still, that there's a fear inside of that. And what I realized is when you go in, when you close your eyes, it's dark, right? And so, can you imagine if you had a fear of the dark and you're closing your eyes? There's so many things that kind of showed up in that space. So anyway,
Interesting.
what I got to notice was that there's a
Maybe
level
you're
of
afraid of the
creation that
external
exists.
darkness
Go
and
ahead.
not your own darkness.
What's that?
Maybe you're afraid of the external darkness. That's why closing your eyes feels like different.
I don't know. I think part of it is what that gave me was the insight into realizing that the fear of the dark are programming. All of that is programming, right?
Yep.
Whatever case it may be. And when you go in, you're able to access the darkness in which, so this is the cool part. You get to illuminate the soul's desire to express itself in light, which means to me that you're kind of pulling it through and actualizing it. So I got some really cool stuff speaking into manifestation, because that's is a really hot topic for me, because the word itself indicates like a stopping point for most people, which is why a lot of people aren't getting what they want, not because they're not deserving and they shouldn't get it, which is where their brain sometimes goes. But yeah, a big piece of it is being able to actualize from the dark, from your within darkness, so that you can shed your own illumination, your own aware consciousness onto your soul's desires, which will actualize into your reality. So I got an entire audio chock full of a process to do this. So I'm going to put it up on my secret podcast for everybody to listen to.
Oh, dope.
If anyone wants to listen to it.
Is this going to be on your channel?
It'll be on my secret podcast, which is you can access it from my website.
On the website, right? So let me.
I probably could put it in the YouTube channel just as an audio.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Well,
I could do that too.
Idea. Yeah, we'll lead people to the website.
But it was really good. Like it was fun to play in there. I was like, whoa! I came into source clarity for the nervous system reaction of all the things going on, and what I ended up getting was like some super potent manifestation actualization processing.
Well, that's amazing.
So yeah.
And plus, I love that I love that your process is the hot tub. It's perfect.
Yeah, the hot tub, bathtub, and water itself for me is like the opener of all things. Well, it's a conductor, right?
Yeah, for me,
conducts energy.
For me, it's the absolute opposite.
Really?
Yeah. The more I'm around water, I become sick.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like sick. Like I've noticed it at first. I was like, that's weird. And then I even told this to Kelsey, and at first she was like, yeah, no, she tried to like explain it away in all kinds of ways. And now, after she's seen it for years, she's like, that's crazy. Like if we spend any amount of considerable amount of time around a large body of water, I become like physically sick. And I can't and I love water. So like it's not like I have she said maybe you like I did have one event when I was a kid that I almost drowned, but I don't have a fear of water. Like I don't like yes, I'm afraid of like really big depths, like the abyss, the ocean, but I mean I think that's common. That's just a normal thing, right? But I don't have like a big phobia. Like I've surfed a little bit. I like swimming. I used to compete. I used to swim, and I can't recognize anything like that in myself. But I think it might have something to do with like past lives. Like maybe I drowned, or like because it's like if I'm 2 blocks away from the ocean, and I stayed in this apartment like 2 blocks away from the ocean. After 2 weeks, I wake up at 2 p.m. Like I can't get up. Like literally, it just like it drains everything out of me. It's crazy. And if I go into the water,
Wow.
if I put my head in, I'm like sick for like 3-4 days. Like I can't even, like, even if it's like a dip, it's crazy.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
We should do, you know, what I would be totally open to,
Yeah.
because you have a private kind of space here. At some point, why don't we go into your programming and see what's in there and see if we can discover some unique programming and then shift it if you're
Sure.
open.
Of course I'm open. Yeah.
Yeah, because who knows what's in there? Maybe we can go in and I could do a more of a process with you where we can go through and clear some other things, but we can then identify that and then see what's happening in there.
Yeah.
I mean, programming is, for me, right? We're always speaking Wendy land when I'm speaking, because it doesn't include everyone. It's in my perspective. But what if that is programming that got created from, like, you know, pre-existence for you?
Yeah.
Or it's been, you know, added to in real time,
Well,
and that's just created what it is.
So to me, it feels more elemental. So it doesn't feel like, I mean, obviously it's not fun, but it feels less of a problem. It feels more a nature of a thing. So it's almost like, and when I go to the mountains, it's the opposite. Wind up, I feel immediately elevated and full of life, and all the beautiful ideas come to me. Cold, the same way. So there's an element component there, it feels like. And I discovered in a Chinese zodiac, I am a water dog. Somebody made a joke. They're like, "Oh, you already have all the water you need. Like, it's just now you're drowning. Like the second you add a little bit more water, you're just drowning." And it is interesting because the elements are definitely playing a big role in what we are. And Kelsey is a wood dog, so she's also a dog, but a wood dog. So I don't even know why they have that element.
Interesting.
So it's almost like
I don't know what they are either.
she absorbs me, I guess. Like she absorbs the water and it kind of gives her life or something. So, anyways, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting. But I'm very open, of course.
Yeah, when you and I both have a little bit, when we've got intentionality around the space that we're entering, we'll do that, because you and I both have tons of stuff going on. So leaning in would be really interesting. Let's just say.
Yeah, you mean
if we do if we're going to do it now?
Yeah, we can do it now. Of course, we can.
You want to do it now?
I thought that's what you said. I don't care. Whenever.
No, I said we can create an intentional space to come in and do that, so that we can start right out of the gate with it, or we can just keep chatting away. I didn't even consider that. I mean, diving in would be, maybe we could do it now.
I totally.
Does anybody want to experience that? What do your beautiful humans, what would they like to experience?
I don't know. Let's see what people say in the chat. Speaking of the zodiac, has anyone noticed a connection between astrology and the simulation? I mean, the simulation has a connection to everything. Jackie's like, not really. Both scares me. Wait, the both scares me. No, her response was, I think, to his text, which is funny. Okay, yeah, they want to see it. Cool, let's do it.
Yeah, we can. I mean, why not, right? So, aliens don't like water.
Do I need to waterboard? That's funny. Do I need to waterboard myself? Is that what we're gonna do? Light immersion therapy?
I don't think so. I'm just reading the chat, which is so good. Oh my gosh, so fun.
I don't.
Oh, I'm joking from the Mel Gibson movie.
Wait, what? Is something about poisoning people?
What's that?
No, I'm trying to also go back to the comments to see if I didn't miss anything that people want to say. What's up, James? In classical physics, reflected light only encodes information about the surface it interacts with, but there are no such restrictions in the quantum mechanics. I'm trying to understand what is the relevance of it, James. So first of all, the light reflecting is basically a quantum effect. Oh, you're saying so the laser can contain information from something beyond the wall surface. Yeah, that's what we think. So we think it kind of penetrates into some layer that is not just a wall, but some kind of a subspace of some sort. So yeah, we're in full agreement there. If you listen, but trick if you are sleeping, darkness. Okay, that's from before. I'm just making sure that we didn't miss any big thread here before we dive in. I like water. I feel like, yeah. And by the way, Kelsey is the absolute opposite, of course. Like, she thrives on water. If she doesn't come to the ocean every once in a while, she gets sick. She needs water. She's very interesting. Maybe that's why we attract. Having wings, myself, a higher self. Gama was invoking classical physics in his criticism. Oh yeah, we actually spoke about this quite at depth in a conversation we had for the movie, James. It's going to be in the movie, but also we're going to release the full conversation after the movie is done. I'm just waiting for your cue, Wendy. All right. They disappeared for now. Oh, sound stopped on Discord again? Okay, on YouTube. You guys can hear me on YouTube, right? But Discord, right? Can you hear me now? Discord is Discord is being weird. Wendy, we can't hear you, just so you know. I don't know if you're talking. I'm going to hang up and rejoin. Can you guys hear me now? Man, Discord is... No, I know on YouTube you can hear me. What's up, Charlie? But can you hear me on Discord? That's the question. Is this what the kids call shadow work? I guess it is. What's up, Nico? What's up, Kirsten and Dimitri? Good to see you guys. I have not done the intravenous thing yet. Oh, yeah, no, not yet. Airborne toxins can be what it is. No, but it's not just the ocean. It's any body of water. I was next to a lake, and I was on a lake for like a few days, and same thing. Just get very drained. I don't know if you remember, Kirsten, but that happened to me with you in Costa Rica. We were next to the ocean, and then I stepped into the water, and then that day I was smashed. The Discord you can find in the link tree, Wise Swissman. Go to my link tree right now on TikTok. In the link tree, there's a Discord link. Join the community. And right now we're live. So after you join the community, go to core stage on the bottom. You'll see it. Can't hear me on Discord. All right. Well, I guess Discord is... Oh, let's see. First of all, let's bring Wendy. Boom. But I think...
Oh, now can you hear me?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me, right?
I can hear you, yep.
Oh, okay. People said they can't. Weird. Okay. Strange. I don't know what Discord is doing sometimes. That's the price you pay for good sound.
For sure. The part that we go into is called core events. There's no stage word there, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. It's called
of course.
Core events. Yeah, the stage is on core events. Thank you for clarifying that.
Of course.
Where's the Discord? Oh, you got that one. So yeah, so I'm just waiting for your cue. We're ready to go.
I was going to say that disconnection might have been my my sign not to do it today.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Maybe.
We could set. Why don't we set it up intentionally?
Let's do it.
And so people can come in and know what we're up to, what's happening, and then if they like to ask questions, I can by all means support. And then if anybody else wants to dive in, I'd be happy to support them too.
Okay.
That would be fun.
Yeah. Event Dweller, can you still not hear us? By the way, again, just a reminder, everybody who wants to join on Twitch, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. Should be there. I think it is something.
So how does it work on YouTube? When you're on, if you're listening to YouTube, it's just a slight delay from the Discord?
Yeah, that's all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we can, if I stream directly from YouTube, you're not going to have the same delay. It's going to be a little less, but then I'm not going to be able to stream to multiple outlets. So.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So, okay. So we can, if you guys have any questions for Wendy, because clearly the universe said Danny is supposed to be fucked up from water. So let him.
Only now.
All right.
We'll go ahead and have some fun with it when we'll intentionally plan it, and then we'll go deep. And I'll do my whole, my whole protocol with you instead of just an accelerated version, so that we can clean up anything else is there that you're open to. That would be fun.
I mean, I've kind of accepted it. Like, I'm totally fine. I also prefer the mountains. So, but it would be nice to be able to, go do everything in that.
Go for a swim in the lake or the ocean. Yeah.
Yeah. What is the protocol in terms of what, Val? You asking Wendy what is the protocol? The secret.
If she's asking me, it's my own protocol of clearing human programming. So I have 3 pillars that I go through first. I clear all the programming. Yeah, for the deep dive, I clear all the programming. There's 3 pillars. The first one is all of your own programming in the way of what you're after. The second one is other people's programs running in your program. The third one is all of guilt. And then after that, we clear the hardwiring, which is really fun. So one's the like the software, and the other's like the hardwiring.
Somebody asked where they can find you on TikTok, so I'm going to put your website here. So this is where you guys can find Wendy. But TikTok does not allow hyperlinks. So if you want the hyperlink, you can go to YouTube right now, Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts, and it will give you will see the link there. Wendy is an incredible, what do you call that? What do you call yourself?
Reality architect.
Reality architect. I mean, if there was the most badass statement on a business card I've ever heard, it would be this.
Well, it's been a long time that I've been doing this, like 11 years, and it came from other people calling me that without me actually saying it. I never really thought of it before. I never called myself anything. I just did my thing, and then people started saying it about me, and I'm like, all right, if I got to choose a title, it'd be that. So I think what just happened the last few days is that I got an invitation to be featured on Authority magazine.
Whoa.
And I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good place to have a title, because they ask for one, and instead of trying to figure it out and make one up, I've already been classifying myself as a reality architect for the last probably year or so. But it's all the same work, right? I mean, labels are blah, they carry programming. So I'm just labeling it or calling it what I do, which is I play in the harmonics of human programming and architect realities. Mm-hmm. And so I work in I call it the timeline convergence, like dimensional convergence, which really just means, shifting timelines. I just don't like repeating words over and over because it gets so convoluted sometimes with people placing definitions of sorts or judgments of sorts on word phrasing. So and I'm not afraid to use something different. It's more fun.
Yeah, it's whatever feels right in the moment. So say,
Yeah.
thank you for your question. And yes, absolutely. You can go to my link tree here on TikTok and you will find videos from my YouTube channel. That's the YouTube channel. It's called Dangle Thoughts. And if you go there now, we're streaming live there as well. And on the live, I put the hyperlink in the chat so you can actually see it there. And then that's how you find Wendy's website. And you can contact her from there. And everything.
I think
the battle of semantics.
Yeah, I was going to say that if they're looking for TikTok, I just started putting stuff on TikTok. Like I literally have 3 videos on there.
Oh,
not even real videos, like one. But it's I think if you do if it uses the @ symbol, it's I think it's Wendy. Let me look. Wendy Pocket, but it's PAQUET or just one T. Let me look and see, and I'll share it with you.
Yeah, you put
TikTok's fun.
Yeah, put all these links also on your website as well.
Yeah, I have. Do I have YouTube on there? I don't think I do.
You should put everything.
Good point.
Past life.
Well, I have a YouTube channel, but I don't.
Kirsten,
I think it's all on the YouTube channel. To be honest.
No, all the platforms have to contain links to all the other ones. That's the thing.
That's good point. Okay, so what do I have on YouTube? I have. On the I have TikTok on YouTube.
Boom.
Here you go.
Yeah, you should have all of them on all of them. And so Kirsten is saying she's getting some message that it's somehow related to the flood. Maybe I wasn't the flood.
What?
The Discord link, Jen, is in the link tree. Go to my link tree in my bio, and you'll see it there. Intelligence behind the changes. Okay, let's dive into some topics.
Yeah, let's go.
What do
you want to talk about?
First of all, somebody asked me how the experience changed me. I don't think it changed me directly, the experimentation and all of that. What it did change is my emphasis on living a better life. Because if I know that something about that made me put more emphasis on being more aware of everything about how I live a better life. Hold on, let me clean the screen. There you go. Just because depending on how many wonderful moments you spend in this life, it would also mean some things about whatever hyperspace is. So if anything, I think it changed my focus on actually on the more mundane things. And I was already in the habit of trying to do that more and more, but I think the more I started talking about this publicly, it definitely was one of the things I put emphasis on. Woo! Says it unlock. Guides say no. It's. I don't think. Yeah, I would agree, Kirsten.
I'm looking at IM's comment. Enlightenment is when the character dissolves, memory returns of who and what you are. Yeah, totally. That's like an identity thing, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Are you seeing are you looking at the comment there?
Mm-hmm.
Enlightenment is, well, I look at the word itself, enlighten. So illuminate or add light to something. In this reality, in third dimensional reality, where we see it, right? When something comes into the light, it becomes actualized.
Mm-hmm.
Which is who you are when you're saying reflection.
Stepping into the light, yeah.
Yeah.
Charlie saying, has she been able to work with beings in hyperspace for herself or others? So from what I understood from Wendy, and she'll speak for herself in a moment, but from what I understood from you, Wendy, is you don't really experience it in that way, right? Or am I wrong?
In hyperspace?
Yeah, like do you meet a lot of aliens in hyperspace and things like this? Or it's a little bit different in nature for you?
So yeah, that's a great question. Because I have experienced many, many, many aspects of beingness for sure. Like in all different types of, I guess you'd say, containers, or I call it skin suit here anyway. But what was the programming, or if we're speaking towards the programming, I work with all kinds of beings. And sometimes I work with beings while I'm sleeping because my ego brain would get in the way. So I am like choosing to be more unconscious in those spaces because I know I'm doing work. I'll wake up with some really wild things on my physical body that are evidence of doing some crazy stuff. But I work with a lot of beings, most certainly. The wild part is I don't question like why that occurs or how I'm even like doing that without having any extraneous thoughts around it, no judgments and no ego thoughts around it. It just is something that I do. So I don't really lean into the consciousness of it. Like I don't talk about it anywhere, and I don't even sit here and think about it, which is funny. But until you ask that question, right? And then it evokes memories of all the stuff I've done. I woke up many times with some really wild markings on my body. One looked like a brown ink on one of the palms of my hands, just one palm. And I mean, okay, so I like the colors very light, like whites and taupes. And my bedding is completely white. Everything's white. Sheets, everything's white. Covers, blankets, everything. And I wake up in the morning with this massive brown ink all over the palm of my hand. And I'm thinking, the first thing I did was went to go see if it was in my bed somewhere. I'm like, what did I do? And yeah, it was, from one of those times where I was working in a different room. I think I carry physical representations of other realms just to remind me who I am, what I'm up to. So hyperspace, I don't have that word locked in. Describe hyperspace from your perspective, and I will I'll see what information it brings.
That's actually a really good follow-up question. Describe hyperspace from your perspective. What's up, ambient glass? Live white bedding. Yeah, that's very racist, by the way. So everything is white. There's no wait. There is no we. No us. There's only one being acting in parts at all. Not ironically, but appropriately spoken by a handle named I Am. Can Wendy teach people to be like her, or was she born with these abilities?
Oh yeah, definitely. That's part of what I've stepped into on my 11th year of doing this, is actually teach people to evoke their own version of these capacities, for sure. I mean, right now it's really fun. I've had, over a decade to play with them myself. I'll do all those fun things and create massive results with everyone. And at this point, I'm like, okay, everyone can do this. Let's go. And the frequency is right in this reality to actually learn how to do it. So yeah, definitely. I have 3 signature programs where I just began putting it into like program form where somebody can, on demand it, kind of like DIY it, or you can work with me privately and we go through it all. But yeah, for sure. That's going to be the most fun thing that I create this year and the coming years is unlocking that for everyone else, because it's completely available and possible. And maybe we get to clear out some programming first that would prevent it from occurring naturally, instantly, but it is available to everyone for certain.
Amazing.
And I can see, Charlie, your hyperspace is the space people enter on specific molecules.
Yeah, I think you've never experienced those, right?
Yeah, I just don't use the similar languaging, I guess. Hyperspace is a space people enter.
Well, no, I mean, you've never experienced the molecules themselves, right?
Say that again?
You've never experienced anything on a molecule, is the one I'm asking.
Oh, from what perspective? Like,
from the physical of like smoking something.
Oh, no, I haven't. No.
There you go.
No, all of it's like all of it's created from this human clarity.
Yeah, so that would be an interesting thing to look at, because I think I told you this. I do have a friend who, she's kind of like, she's been meditating she's since she was like 3, and she like super spiritual. I even felt that she has some kind of a power in her hands, like super clarity, everything. And then, as I was describing the molecule to her one time, she said, this is interesting. I do want to try this. I don't like, I really want to like see if, where it's positioned in relationship to everything that I understand. And
what do you mean when you say molecule? What do you mean molecule?
the spirit,
Like, is that
the
what?
spirit molecule? We can't say the name because it's illegal.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So the spirit molecule is what we're using for testing with the laser, and it is basically the most psychedelic experience you can have. So it's basically you see just content that is way more real than this. It's just like ultra realistic. It's like a completely different
Yeah.
place. Doesn't resemble this place at all, in any shape or form, basically.
Oh,
It's
cool.
very bizarre, and our body's making it. So our body is synthesizing it, and we know of no metabolic reason for it. It has no metabolic
No,
function whatsoever. But your body specializes in it and makes it, and metabolizes it faster than anything else. The whole experience
I
is
wonder
5 to 10
if
minutes.
there's a way that I'm utilizing that without having to experience it.
So I'm landing on no, but I'm open. But that illustration with my friend that I'm telling you about basically kind of gave me the answer, because
Yeah.
because when she did it, she came back and she said, "Okay, I don't understand what's going on." And I said, "Yeah, exactly." So
Yeah.
because it's kind of like people have their certainties, but then when they see actually the real thing, they kind of go like, "Okay." They basically understand that they were just living in their own little bubble.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. For sure.
So
I
so
mean that. So let's riff on that.
yeah.
If everyone's living in their own little bubble, and that's how existence is experienced, like on the regular,
Mhm.
right? When you wake up in the morning
Mhm.
and you're going about your day, how can you create the types of experiences that are exciting and exhilarating and fun and next level, right? Within your little bubble that would allow you to cause yourself to say, wow, this is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just a different
Right?
emphasis. So like that, I think it should be the emphasis for most people. So
Yeah.
like I told you in our conversations, for me, the place where I live and thrive is through the question. So it's through the exploration of the infinite. But
Yep.
I think that for most people, the question should always be around balance in the here and now, in the current state. Can they just really enjoy whatever it is? I agree that that should be the emphasis. But on this channel, a lot of people are very interested in the nature of things. Charlie is
Mhm.
a genius engineer, and he always thinks of things in a very technical way. He always has very interesting questions, and he also has discovered, weirdly enough, that he's one of these people that is immune to the molecule, which is there's only like 1% of the population that happens to them, that they just can't experience it, which is interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, but it is an open question that I think some people simply are not interested in, and I think that's a separate project. Also, as a side note, I see, Terry, you're saying that for you the Vipassana was, so that we can't say the name because of TikTok, because TikTok is weird. But the spirit, he's saying that Vipassana was just like the spirit molecule for him. That's interesting to me, because so we have a member of the community that went to Vipassana, the meditation Vipassana, because I recommended it and he really enjoyed it, and it was a very positive thing for him. But he's saying that for him, when he was meditating in the retreat, it felt like the molecule space. That's
yep.
interesting to me because it feels nothing like the molecule space to me. Like it feels like a completely different kind of thing. But I've heard people describe it this way. So it's really fascinating to me how different people experience these things differently. Um, because there is a consensus. So like, for example, I know that for you, that's maybe even obvious because you always say, well, of course, everybody experiencing it in their own way. I'm
Mhm.
just not, my jury is out on that. Like, I don't know how different some experiences are for us. I think that some experiences are almost the same for all of us. The I-ness, I'm pretty sure it's the same for every single one of us. So at least there's one component of it that is the same. Then there's the content on top of it that can be, there's a degree to which it varies between people. What I'm interested in is the degree to which it varies and why. So like if the
Mhm.
difference between you and I in the way that we're experiencing this particular thing is whatever it is, I'm very interested in why that is. And I feel like from the perspective of your work and how you do things, that is an irrelevant question, because all that matters is how you utilize that whatever it is that you're experiencing to have the best possible experience moving forward. I think that's the focus of your work. But it is
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get, and so one of the things in questioning that I find potent is having a destination, and a
Destination.
why question is often a circular question where it seems as though there could be multiple responses or multiple answers to the why question unless it's directed by a potent ending. So if you say, well, I'm interested in the difference, um, like why it is that way.
It tells us something
What
about the
is,
world and about
go
us.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's the reason. It tells us something about the world and about us.
Yeah. And so that right there, so you're kind of showing me that's true. So when it tells us about the world and about us,
Mm-hmm.
from for what purpose? Just to understand it, to have some some
There's something
further knowledge
intrinsic.
and understanding.
There's something intrinsically divine for me in
Yeah.
the instance of understanding. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Yeah, so it's fun to have so many different perspectives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it allows you to not feel judgment in the same way. Because everyone can look at something with different viewpoints and still be accepting and honoring and respectful and, non-judgmental about everyone else's, because the context is so variant, right? If everyone is on the same page, and that's where judgment comes from, because they're judging who knows what and why, if they know more or less, or yeah, so good.
Interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Because each of our realities are individuated in that we each experience our own view, and so to try to fit ourselves in someone else's opinion could be really tight and painful from that perspective. But when you're open to be like, yeah, this is how I see the world, and this is what I would love to experience, and what that means for me. And then you hear someone else's viewpoint, which is completely different. I don't have to make you right or wrong, right? And vice versa. You just get to go, wow, that's a freaking cool ass perspective. Like, how much fun is that? And you can support one another from those differences at the highest level, which is really cool.
And also to your question, Nico, is understanding a form of suffering? Not at all. For me, it's the absolute opposite
No.
of suffering. It's a transcendent instance of recognition of what in fact is. It's a connection with everything there is by essentially there's an opening. There's when you understand, it's not a linear process. It's you come in the presence of the full light of the totality of what it is. That's what understanding is. It's a state that you acquire through different processes, but it's an opening. It's not a. It's literally like a connection with everything there is. At least for me, it is. Maybe what can be sometimes conflated with understanding is the kind of like this obsessive component of caring nothing but about kind of like the facts of the thing. It's like, oh, I just want to know what it is. It just kind of, you want to box it in. But to me, understanding, it's not that kind of a process. It's it being in the presence of what it in fact is. You stand in front of whatever that is and you say, what are you? And it reveals itself to you. And that can happen through multiple different kinds of processes that you can fold into scientific frameworks or spiritual frameworks. But the instance of that understanding is always the same, the thing in the middle. And I think that's the intersection between all the different domains, including spiritual pursuit and everything else, because from true understanding arises the ultimate freedom. You know what it is, and therefore what is the appropriate thing to be in relationship to it, and how you relate to it, and how everything is kind of like working together. And some people would say, well, ultimately, I just want to understand. And I think Wendy, one of them, would say, no, I'm the recognition of my true divine nature and who I am, and that I am everything. That's the only thing that should ever be the central line to basically iron out any wrinkles of experience. I'm just not like, and again, this is an ongoing conversation between me and Wendy, so it's not a secret to her. But to me, it's kind of clear that this unified I that we all are is not the only one. And
yeah,
and I think that for you, and you correct me if I'm wrong, because we spoke about it a little bit. I think what you would say is, yeah, but it will never be relevant to our existence in our world, so it doesn't really matter. You kind of playing these postulations, but they're not necessarily bringing any more comfort or peace. They're just the infinite exploration, just because you can. But it's not necessarily like ever going to be related to what you're doing. Would that be a fair assumption?
Well, it's related in that it is like it is. There's all kinds of ways to view it, and curiosity is always in play. But I suppose, and I love that we have these like altering perceptions, because what it forces me to know is that my viewpoint matters to me, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so if my experience of this reality, the thing that I'm most drawn to is creating a greater level of peace within oneself in order to have that be the vibrational nature, then that's just that's my I guess you'd say soul's desire as I speak about it. That's something that I have a higher potential to experience when that's the interest that's before me. Because I try to look at other things. I'm like, oh, I'm just not interested. And then the curiosity is like, well, what drives the disinterest, right? And it could go on forever in deep contemplation, which is really great. And yet still what exists is the deep desire to experience the highest level of peace available. And then I don't say teach, I don't like the word teach, but then to share how that could get created in oneself for your own purpose. So, okay, anybody who resonates with that languaging as well, who is curious about it, can also dip their toes in and be like, oh yeah, right, I resonate with that, meaning I recall that cellularly, frequency wise, and then can create it for themselves. So that, like, having differing opinions or having different perspectives really evokes a deeper clarity, don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So would it be relevant? Yeah, 100%. Not because it's included. It's not something I speak about, but it's relevant because it is. Right?
No, that part I don't get. What do you mean it's irrelevant because it is?
It's relevant, not
relevant
irrelevant.
because it is.
It's relevant because it is part of the contemplation. I'm like, wow, if I didn't realize that you had such a beautiful perspective for yourself and your own experience of this reality, how would I know that ours is so different that it could still be awesome, and we're in the same space together, we're still talking about two different things, and it somehow the languaging correlates to each other, and in other ways it doesn't. Not it's relevant in that you have that, right? And I'm not speaking about it, but I can still acknowledge you and say, yeah, like, what a dope way to look at this reality. That how much fun must you be having exploring that nature?
Oh yeah, we just have different minds, and that actually leads me to this comment that I just saw. But this is where it kind of gets into the different perspective value, right? So, for example, somebody said, so what Terry was asking. Terry said you're awesome, and he asked who I'm talking to. This is Wendy, and I just shared the website again, so you can go check it out there if you want. Where was that comment? Something about. Okay, so Van Dweller said, I'm more in the don't overthink shit camp. And then Charlie said, I definitely overthink everything. So I would disagree with both of these statements. The first thing is, well, I can't disagree with the first one because you just said something about yourself. But what's hiding behind it, I think, is a little bit like maybe you should do the same. And if that is hidden behind it, I would completely disagree with that, because I don't think you overthink, Charlie. I think you're just thinking, which is what you're here for. This is what people, like, for sure, myself, are here for. And there's nothing wrong with that. And for others, it might look like overthinking, but that's just your level of thinking. For a lot of people, they find equilibrium in different spaces. Some people find equilibrium in being connected to their bodies. Some people find equilibrium in their connections with other people. Some people find equilibrium in thinking. And I know it's hard for people to imagine, but I'm never calmer than when I think intensely about something. That is when I'm the calmest. When I'm at peace, when I see something clearly in my mind's eye, and I'm very analytical about it. Like it's where I'm the happiest, the best version of myself. It's where I shine, and it's very cerebral, and it has nothing to do with, well, you want to go back to the body. I don't. That's not where I live. So I think it's a confusion that people have, especially when people start kind of interacting with these beginner's level of awakening, and then they can start kind of thinking, oh, because I'm experiencing this right now, I'm experiencing this piece. What they discovered is a piece about themselves. Then what they don't realize is that they did not discover a piece about everybody or the world. And there's a beauty in the fragmentation that we are, because the personal expression of our personality is part of the totality. I used to feel really bad about overthinking, because when I started doing more of the contemplative and meditative practices, and when I started going deeper into that space and understand it, you're usually surrounded by people in these communities that gravitate towards it, that are a lot less of the thinking type, or even the thinking type is usually the kind that discovered that they were forced to be the thinking type when they were kids, but they never wanted to be. So what happened there is that they basically got an Uno reverse card, and they started evangelizing the other thing. They somehow convinced themselves that just because they were forced to think and they didn't want to, but now they discovered they don't have to, and they feel a lot more at peace because their true nature is not that. They then assume that everybody else must also be like that, which is not the case at all. Some people actually, that's where they feel, like myself, I know I feel the happiest there, right? And when I started doing that, because I was surrounded by so many people that said the same thing, I started feeling like I'm a bad person. Like there's something wrong about me overthinking and thinking, why can't I just, want to. It took me a while to understand, oh, it's not a one size fits all thing. Like it's not at all. There's something about our personalities that has a role to play in this world. And it's only when you embrace what you really, really are, you and no one else, is when you start gliding through whatever this experience is telling you, and you will find your own balance and perspective. Now, if all you meant to say was, well, that's what I am, cool. But usually I know that when that is being expressed, especially publicly, it usually holds the hint of, I'm also suggesting others do that. And that's the part that I'm actually disagreeing with, because I think it's not at all the case that it has necessarily something to do with trauma or things like this. It has to do with a predispensation and how you were born into this world, with your energetic imprint. There's people that are just naturally in these higher octaves. They vibrate a lot faster. Slow for them feels like death. Like it just like, and other people, they can't handle this. They can't. It's just too much for them, and they gotta go down. They like the slower thing. They like to be in their body. It's a different kind of genius, but they're not competing with one another. They're actually completing one another. Is when we start to understand that we are this thing that is kind of playing around with itself, then we realize that the roles we're playing, they are just as important as the totality of all things. Or at least that's my impression. What would be your thoughts, Wendy?
Yeah, well, I'd say overthinking, the first thought that kind of popped into my mind was, are you asking questions when you're thinking? Because then when you ask questions, that evokes potentials, right? Choices. And it could be that you're so fast at asking questions that it's evoking data that you're naturally following, and you're a fast processor, which is like, there's a lot of genius nature in that. Because as the faster you process something, I don't know, I guess it's just one of those things, right? Just you can be a fast processor in that way. So certain things are easier for you. But overthinking is when you're taking yourself out and judging that process, if that makes sense.
Say the last part again. What is when judging? What is when judging that process?
Of overthinking.
Oh, so the strain comes when you start to judge that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So I would say ask a lot of freaking questions and watch what happens. I mean, like I was saying earlier, I don't know if you guys were listening to that part when I went into the tub yesterday. I was curious to get some clarity for myself around all these things that are happening in my world. It feels like for my world, it's shifting timelines, right? So sometimes I hop from one to one it feels really far from the other, which means the frequencies are vast in nature. And for some reason, yesterday, my nervous system was like in high gear the last couple of days, but I have done a lot of shifting. And I was like, okay, I get to not stand in the middle looking at the timeline that I was experiencing, and then the new one, for lack of better words, that I am choosing at the same time. Because for me, that was creating a nervous system imbalance that I could feel in my body. And so I hopped into the tub to source some clarity, and I had questions looming in my head. And what happened was, the second I stepped into the water, all the answers to those questions arrived in an awareness space of a multidimensionality. So it's like all of a sudden I stepped in the water and boom, I was aware of these concepts that I really previously hadn't been aware of before, which was the difference between consistency and habits, which are it was far more like visceral of an understanding. So when you say understanding, Danny, the same idea, far more visceral of an understanding that I could ever imagine those two words and concepts having. So talk about processing speed, right? If you're becoming aware of how much you're thinking, what part of you is aware of that, right? And maybe address that piece of it. It's like, oh, right. There's something else going on here. It's not just a one-track player. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and actually it leads nicely to this question that we have here about split brain patients. I don't know if you're familiar, but James is asking, then what are your thoughts on split brain experiment on epileptic patients with severed corpus callosum? So it's not so much experimental, by the way. It's just known that cutting the corpus callosum fixes epilepsy for some reason, and in other conditions as well. And the corpus callosum, to anybody that doesn't know, is basically just the tissue that connects the two hemispheres of the brain. What they discovered actually, you know what? I remember reading this as part of some kind of research paper I was writing, but I don't remember the details. I think it said that Einstein's brain, because it was studied heavily, they discovered that he had a very developed corpus callosum. So like a very strong connection between the two hemispheres, almost like he could think in stereo a lot better than most people, like engage both hemispheres. But what often happens to people that you cut their corpus callosum, there will be there's various degrees of these changes, but basically you discover that there is this severing between the way that people communicate, because the right and the left hemispheres specialize in different things. And one of the kind of like known tropes that people like to cite is that, well, the right hemisphere has to do with artistic things and metaphors, and the left hemisphere has to do with everything has to do with type A, so like thinking a lot and things like this, right? But that is, of course, a lot more complex than that. It's not exactly like that. But we do know that to a large degree, if not a complete degree, the right, if I'm not mistaken, the right hemisphere is predominantly silent. It doesn't speak in language. It speaks in either imagery or pure meaning. And then the left hemisphere kind of fills in the specifics. So what very often would happen is that the body would do things almost to communicate what the right hemisphere wants, and then the words would be more the left hemisphere. And there's other experiences that people have of like being not multiple personality, but like there's almost like more than one agent, so to speak. And I think that from the perspective of like the ultimate picture, if we postulate that the mind is fundamental and therefore consciousness is somewhat an innate, like an intrinsic property of what reality is, and it's not really made by anything, it is the thing that makes everything else, then what the brain is from that perspective, if that's your ontology, it's just one type of clumping of the mind space in a local region that gives rise to a quote unquote local mind. It's almost like a little bubble within the larger bubble. And that self-referential entity with a boundary that we call the self, within it, it contains all the possibilities of what the mind is, which is these experiential vectors. But then the self-referencing clumps around particular regions. And then these can be local neighborhoods that kind of interact with one another. This, which is what we were talking about yesterday with Nico. And then when they're integrated in the way that the brain is, then it feels, for the most part, it feels like a one unit. But even without severing your corpus callosum or having Zina saying hi to people, or having any kind of brain condition or multiple personality disorder, Zina is going to be talking for quite a while now. But even without that, if you look closely, you'll realize you're not a one unified self. You are many different people at different times, and there's a repertoire of these different people or different agents that you call the self because they fall within the parameters of what you're familiar with. So one of them would be kind of like the more pissy one, let's say, and then when you meet that, you just say, "Oh, I feel this," or "I'm like this today." But if you really look closely, it's not just that it feels differently. You are someone else in that moment. There's a very, it's not like people say, "Oh my God, I'm a different person when I'm really hungry." Yeah, you actually are. There's like a completely different arrangement of but there's still a self-referential perception that kind of implies that there's something in the middle that is appropriating all of it, which if you look closely, both neuroscientifically and introspectively, even through meditation, you'll discover there's no one there. There's no one in the middle. There's no one home. There's no one that is all of this is happening to, which is what the Buddhists sometimes repeat in order to achieve a certain state of consciousness. So when you cut the corpus callosum, all you do is you're basically cutting a certain networks that are familiar They're familiar with each other through these very particular neuronal connections that allow for a certain amount of propagation of information to be that. When you cut that, what happens is that the universal structure of what the mind is almost like goes back closer to what it was originally, and it collapses into two bubbles. And then these two bubbles self-referencing themselves, but also still see each other, but now through a boundary. So now it creates that kind of effect. And I think there's every evidence to suggest that multiple personality disorder people, that's essentially what is going on there. In fact, it's almost like instead of having one instance of that boundary in a person, you have multiple of them. And one very interesting illustration of this is that they tested some people with multiple personality disorders, and what they discovered is that the multiple personalities are called alters in neuroscience. So in cognitive science. So when you study these people after a dream, what would very often happen, the alters, the different personalities, when they're present, while they're awake and being asked the question, would report the same dream from their own perspective and would report seeing each other sometimes in the dream. They're like, I saw that person, but that person is in here. Like, so it kind of implies that that's already what's going on. Like, that's what we're experiencing. We are kind of like universal mind dreaming itself in many, 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 many different perspectives. And all that's happening in the multiple personality disorder, and in some interesting cases, when you cut the corpus callosum, is what happens is basically it doesn't even split. It just goes back to the bubbling that it's doing anyway. It just usually does the bubbling within one framework, and now it contains many bubbles within one framework, and that's why it feels a little strange. I hope that answers your question. And I think it actually speaks a lot of volumes to also to your perception of the situation, I think, Wendy, because this is exactly what you're saying. We are essentially the universal everything dreams itself from multiple perspectives, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And let's see. And just as a selling point to anybody in the chat that is still rah-rahing for more and more people, getting off the thinking horse. So there's of course a balance, right? So there is this thing that if the thinking mind starts consuming more information that currently the body can give, it can become pathological. That can happen too, of course. And then people kind of, the workaholic scenario where you just kind of, you give more than what you're capable of giving, you completely neglect yourself and your system, and you run into a lot of issues later because something's got to give, and you pay the price. You either collapse, or you get a heart attack, or you get a stroke. Your body rebels, right? So paying attention to what the body wants is also very important. It's just that some people, they're naturally predisposed to do the other thing, but it can also be pathological. It can also be pathological where that's the I guess the caricature example that people have, which is like, oh, you're so in your mind that you don't even realize that something else is going on here when you're around other people or something. That can happen too. But again, pathological things, so like process run amok, that can happen in any domain. The other way around too, by the way. If everybody would never, quote unquote, overthink, we would never be able to have this technology that we have now, the one we're using now to communicate en masse. Like, we would never have that. No, we would never have a computer if people would just
Also
sing songs and hold hands around a campfire. As beautiful as it is, we would never have this tool for sure. Also, what?
I was just going to say, I think part of what's cool is if you can notice yourself overthinking, then you're good.
Yeah, if you can stop the process, exactly.
Yeah. What's that?
If you can stop the process of getting into this like infinite feedback loop, I think, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the fact that you can recognize that you believe yourself to overthink is the key, because chronic, maybe pathological style overthinkers don't know that, and they're not going to address it, right? They're certainly not going to acknowledge it in the way that one would say, oh, I'm an overthinker.
I agree with that. Also, I agree with everything you said, say. I can't recapitulate everything right now, but yes, I read your comments. I agree with that. Okay, I think, wait, what is the notion that anyone or anything is looking is only an inference? It's a fairly persistent idea, though, of course. Yeah, I would say it's even more than an idea. It's an actual sense that we get. It's like a feeling that we have. But the thing to recognize is that it is a sort of a feeling. It's a one thing. It is a little. Well, it's definitely interesting when you can kind of penetrate through it and you can see that there's actually nothing in the middle. One way to do it is like we talked about with the Douglas Harding experiment on having no head, which is of course not his experiment. He just kind of modernized it, but shifting the attention back on yourself while you're looking at something and then asking yourself who is looking, but not to get an answer, just to kind of hover there as a guiding question, as a guiding principle. And then what you'll discover very quickly is almost like, okay, where is this thing that is looking? And then, okay, is it behind the eyes? Okay, where? It's like, okay, maybe it's some kind of a diffused field that is looking. Okay, where is it? And you can try and find what is the region from which everything is looking. You're trying to find the region, and then you can't find the region. You're like, where? Like, so what is looking? Very quickly, you start recognizing nothing is looking. It's literally there's just looking. There's just the act of looking. There's no one there. There is a moment where it kind of happens and you go, "Ugh," like it's like the Matrix kind of has like this like little glitch and you're like, oh, there's just a room. There's no, you're not there. There's, yeah, the physical body is there, but the thing you feel yourself to be is not actually real. Like it's just a thing that just come. It's almost like, you know what it is? It's not a perfect metaphor or illustration, but it gets close. So it's almost like, because you're playing the game of constantly feeding this system, both with food and information, there's constantly implication that something is in here. So it's like there's a lot of kind of arrows pointing out towards the thing that you think you're related to. I like this kind of music. I eat this kind of food. I don't like this person. I this, I that. I all of these, right? So they're kind of outwards pointing arrows, which of course implies that they're pointing from somewhere. So what it does, it creates an imaginary shape inside that when you're only paying attention to out there, it automatically implies there's an in here. But when you actually look, so in other words, you diffuse the amount of arrows pointing out, all of a sudden you realize there's nothing in here. There's just happening. Alan Watts used to say, there's no I'm hearing, there's just hearing. There's no I'm seeing, they're just seeing. There's no one there that is actually appropriating and doing any of this. And that is a quite liberating realization, because then there's nothing to defend, nothing to worry about. There's nothing that can go wrong, because it's just whatever's happening. It's actually a very liberating feeling.
It's consciousness aware of itself.
Yes. Only and the word itself is even a little bit misleading, because there's actually there's no self anyway. Hey, Nico.
Yeah, well, that is definitely misleading, because you're looking at awareness is, and consciousness is what makes it a thing, if you're going to put it into an identity. And so it becomes aware of itself in that way.
Exactly. And it's almost like God is becoming aware through us. Nico, did you want to say something, brother? Because you came on and now you just...
Yes. Before you leave, I was worried you were going to leave before. I opened an old... Sorry to shift gears.
No, please.
So abruptly, by the way. I opened up an old oscilloscope that broke for me, and it was like I saw this big cathode thing, this big cathode tube, right, which is like something that you see in the 90s. And then I realized that the machinery is shooting an electron beam to a phosphorus screen, and then that is phosphorescing, right? So you see this like really bright green spot. And then I realized that the way that it rasters these two-dimensional images is it uses magnets to actually guide the beam in different areas of the phosphorus screen, right? So it's bending the beam with a magnetic field. And then I realized, I wonder if we can diffract the electron beam. I wonder if you can also see an interesting pattern. And I know because it's electrons, it's going to respond to a much weaker magnetic field, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah.
I wonder if this could be an interesting an interesting experiment for the magnet specifically. That way we're not blowing pacemakers for our neighbors, you know, like when we're doing the light experiment.
Wait, but how are we going to see anything? Because you can't see electrons.
You could see it land on a phosphorus screen. So the way that it works is it lands on these phosphorus atoms and it excites, and then it shoots out this other kind of like bright green wavelengths from it.
It's definitely worth trying. Definitely worth trying. It's just with the photon, what you're getting is kind of like, quote unquote, what's there. With the electron, you're going to get the shape that you've encoded into the... It's almost like you're painting with the electrons. But that's not the same as seeing what's actually there.
Exactly. It is there's a secondary interaction, because you're now interacting with a large atom, and then that is releasing some wavelength. So it is complicated. It is a high voltage thing, and I'm not like
we have people
super comfortable, but I think maybe we can get Carter. We can like trick Carter into playing with it or something.
As long as we don't have to handle the high voltage. Did you hear that, Carter? It's all on you, bro. If you get electrocuted, we're okay with that. No, that's actually a really interesting idea. Something that we can guide. Yeah. No, that is fascinating. Say manipulate the image, you'll see. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Wendy, final thoughts for today?
I don't really have any. This is always such a fascinating space to be. It's quite fun to pop in and just riff back and forth with you about all kinds of fun things.
Yeah, and this is my favorite thing about this channel. We talk to like I'm talking to you, who's an expert in shifting realities, and Nico jumps on, and he's a scientist, and he has these ideas about all the technical stuff. It's my favorite thing. Literally, it's my favorite thing. I love it. Okay, so first of all, if you guys want to follow Wendy, you guys can find her website right here in the chat on Dango Thoughts. I just put it right there again. And if you want to follow Nico, please go do that on TikTok. NIKOMACKAY. NIKOMACKAY. Love you, brother. Thank you so much. And if you guys want to follow me across platforms, you'll be Danny Goller on Instagram and TikTok. You'll be Goller Danny on X. You'll be LaserX83 on Twitch, and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. If you join now, you'll come to the live. You'll see Wendy's website right there. But it's Wendy Pocket. How do you pronounce it? Pocket? Pocket? How do you say it? Pocket. Pocket.com. WENDYPAQUETTE. WENDYPAQUETTE. But again, it will appear here in the chat. You can always see this. And come join the membership program. The membership program includes early access to all my content. It includes weekly lives that we're going to have on Sunday, aside from the daily lives. And it's for members only. We talk much deeper about subjects. We kind of dive deep. We watch videos. This week, we might be talking about Terence McKenna, which is probably going to be a long, fun episode. It's going to be a lot of philosophy and science, all kinds of wacky things. I'm very excited about this. Come join our Discord. A loving group of people that exchanges all these beautiful, beautiful, beautiful ideas. You can find the links to that on my TikTok link tree and on YouTube on the main page. You'll see all the links to social media, and you find the Discord link there as well. And as I'm reminding everybody that we're doing the daily donation for currently Casey, but it will be multiple people that we know we've identified that has a little bit more need. Either they're struggling or they're doing something that requires them to focus on what they're doing, and they can't really afford to think about anything else but doing that, and they can't really provide for themselves. So if people in the chat will donate $1, even $1 is enough every few days, that would help these people to do what they need to do. Currently, we're contributing to Casey. We contributed 2 days in a row, which already collected quite a bit. I think we should be able to cover his monthly within like 3 or 4 days. But just so you guys know, either you donate or don't, it's still very, very valuable that you're coming to the chats and making this the community of what it is. I really, really appreciate the old and the new. And again, all you got to do is just to donate to the chat, and I'm sending it to him directly. It's true that whatever YouTube pays me only comes once a month. It doesn't matter. Whatever you guys donate, thank you so much, Yoni. I'm sending that day everything to Casey directly, and he's very, very grateful for this. He's currently just kind of, writing, and he simply cannot support himself currently. Just put it that way. But he is a beautiful person. He's a professor, but he currently cannot. His mind is in a different place. He cannot lift his own weight currently. So we're going to help him. Thank you so much, Yoni. Really appreciate it. And so what I'm doing is I'm always taking the dollars that you guys are donating. Thank you so much, Guru. And I'm sending him extra. So that way he can definitely have enough to eat and places to stay, which is very cheap in Mexico where he stays in the moment, but still costs some money. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much, Yoni. Thank you so much, Guru. Very, very generous of you. And like I said, I'm also going to try and share reactions from him if there are. Ebony, thank you so much. That's very, very generous of you. And the second we cover his monthly, because he gave me an amount, I think it was like $150, which is nothing. Maybe we'll go to like $200 just to be generous, so he really feels like he can take care of himself, and then we can move on to the next person. It's consider. I thought about this a little bit, and considering the fact that how much not everybody can afford, but a lot of us, how much money do we spend on just going and truly like getting a coffee every few days? So even if we put $1 every 5 or 6 days, I'm sure anybody can do like $5 a month, right? With the amount of people that come to the chat, because not everybody have to donate every day, but different people can donate every day, right? So if every person donates $1 to $2, $3, $5 every like 4 days, 5 days, however many days anybody can afford, or no days, that can also happen. Maybe you're the ones in need. We can actually help quite a lot of people. And beyond that, I'm currently working on finding a way to actually create something that is much more robust to help people on a much larger scale, something that is in the works and I'm very excited about. But for now, we can help individuals separately. Jake, thank you so much for joining the community. Deeply appreciate you and welcome. Dr. Luke, thank you so much for the generous donation. Ciela, thank you so much, everybody. So far we have 7, 17, 24, 27. Beautiful. Wait, yesterday I had 42. That was a perfect number. As you guys know, I'm very fond of this number. So there you go. Casey's going to get this money also today. I think he's going to be, I don't think he expected any of this because I was just kind of sending him some money whenever I could. But this is, we can utilize this, and I'm grateful that you guys are participating. And also, I think it feels great to be able to actually help somebody and are of true need. So I'm glad we can do this with this community. Appreciate you guys very much. I want to acknowledge our wonderful, wonderful moderators. Ebony, you're amazing. Wendy, thank you so much for the donation. You're very, very generous. I will thank you so much for Ebony and Chris and Guru and Jessica. Without you guys as moderators, this would not be possible. My partner, David Carter, love you, brother. You're amazing. Aaron Vanden, who's the director of the film that is going to produce a banger in the end of the year. Expect that. You can go watch the trailer on Dango Thoughts. And if you guys are old or new members, I really appreciate you guys. Oh, final thing. If you do want to join if you join from the second tier membership on YouTube up, it also opens the window for Zoom calls with me once a month, which is a wonderful way to engage back and forth. We talk directly. We have a nice conversation. We usually have pretty stimulating conversations there. So you can join that. Just make sure that if you do, email me to lasersimulationx@gmail.com. You don't have to memorize it. It's all appearing there. So I can send you a link to the next Zoom meeting. Again, we are at 30. Okay, great. 32. Awesome. So let me just make sure I'm counting it again because I don't feel like doing it later. 17, 24, 27. Yes, 32. Amazing. Awesome. You guys are so generous, and Casey's gonna see this money today, per usual. Really appreciate you guys. Huge honor to do this, to be together and build this community together. Peace and love, everybody. See you tomorrow. Ciao. Wendy, thank you so much for your beautiful, beautiful wisdom.
Thank you for having me. So always such a wonderful conversation we have, and thanks for sharing your beautiful community with me.
Thank you so much. And let us know when your next live is. We'll jump on as well.
Oh, yay. I will. Thanks. I appreciate the support.
Bye, Wendy.
See you later.
See ya. Have a good night, guys.